Hello there and welcome to episode 115 of Little Big Knits. My name is Selma. I'm coming to you from Ottawa, Canada, and you can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Selma Knits. And here we are in July, and I'm coming to you, I think, a tiny bit late. I probably should have podcasted last weekend, but summertime is often a busy time. There's lots of fun things happening. So I think that that's what's been going on. I'm not even 100% sure. Anyway, I'm coming to you today. I wanted to thank you for your lovely comments from the last episode. It was really lovely to hear from you and people's experiences with retirement, because I announced that I'd be retiring soon, and other lovely comments that you made. So thank you very much for that. And just quickly, in today's show, we are going to have a finished object, a couple of works in progress, but then I wanted to share my summer favorites, the new patterns that have come out over the last few months that I just think are really, really nice summer patterns. And then I've got my hidden gems section for you at the end, of course, as usual, to celebrate our hidden gems knit along, which I'll tell you a little bit more about later. I have one designer for you today, so stick around if you want to see who that is. Also wanted to remind you that we have a Patreon account where we have a community building there, and some new people have joined, so thank you for joining. If you'd like to check it out, go ahead. We've got conversations there that are free, and you're welcome to join us in those, as well as the occasional post if you want to join for free, or if you want to become a paid member, there are other things that are available to you. And we also have Kofi if you want to, or Kofi if you want to support the podcast financially. But I do want to thank you also primarily just for being here. Thank you for joining me every time I come in, or whether you're a first time or an occasional viewer. All right, let's get started. Let's talk about what I'm wearing. This is the Ship Shape by Heidi Kiermaier, who is a lovely designer out of the west coast of Canada. And this is I think this design may be a couple of years old. It's meant to be knit with kind of more of a sport weight, DK weight gauge. I believe it's a 22 stitch gauge. I got a slightly different gauge, a tighter gauge, so I went up a couple of sizes. And her original pattern, as you could see in the picture, are a little bit thicker stripes, and I decided to micro stripe mine. Now it was folded in the closet because I washed it, and that fold is sticking out and bugging me, but anyway, let's just pretend that's not there. I decided to do it micro striping, and I also used a different yarn than she did. Can't actually remember what she used, but I used Cattialino, which is really more of a fingering weight linen yarn, and I striped it with Knitting for Olive merino cotton. This is leftovers from my anchor tee that kind of went to hell in a handbasket. You'll recall from the last episodes, I talked about the fact that it kind of got destroyed, and it'll be over dyed at some point, and I don't know, we'll see what we do with it. But the yarn, I had not been very happy with how the yarn had worn. It had kind of oddly fuzzed and felted a little bit. The sweater had shrunk. So I'm gonna take good care of this to make sure that I don't do that with this one, or that it doesn't happen to the yarn. I do think the fact that it's striped with the linen will probably mitigate some of the behavior that I encountered in my anchor sweater. It's such a beautiful yarn. I hope that I just had a bad experience, because it really is a very beautiful yarn to work with, and it gives a beautiful fabric. I just didn't like the way the fabric wore. So I did, though, want to use this up as part of our LBK SYS 2025. That is the Little Big Knits Shop Your Stash make along that we have going in a Ravelry, as well as using the hashtag on Instagram. I wanted to use up the old yarn, and I still have a little bit left, But so that part is Shop Your Stash. The lino was newer, so that doesn't get included in that. So that's really about the yarn, but the top itself just has this lovely, lovely construction. I did add a ribbing here. The original has a simple edge. There's no finishing whatsoever. And it works with the yarn that she used, but with mine it was rolling. And then once I put the ribbing at the bottom, I felt like it needed ribbing up here or something up here to balance it. So I ended up picking up stitches and doing ribbing, and I really, really like it. Lots of interesting details in this sweater. I've been thinking that I would like to make it again as a dress. I thought this would make a really fun little t-shirt dress kind of thing. So let's see. I automatically started having, thoughts of, I could make this into a dress, and what colors would I want to use? And I really like the white combination with something else. I must say, I did contemplate other combinations. Nothing came to mind that really stuck, but I had this blue in my head, just a really bright, lovely blue. And I ended up going into a yarn shop, Woolen Things, that's here. It's kind of on the other side of the city, so it's not a shop that I go to very often. But I was walking around the shop, and they had this BC Garn lino, which is 100% linen, which was exactly the blue that I had in my head. It's just a perfect blue, kind of a great combination. It looks a little bit more turquoisey while I'm filming, but it's really a good balance between not being turquoisey and not being purpley. I was like, this is the blue that I had in my head. So I think I might end up making a dress with this, and I would not use the knitting for olive because I think this is a tiny bit thicker than the Katia lino. It says that it's a fingering, but I do think it may be just a tiny little bit thicker. So I might end up finding some of the white in this, and I don't know why, but I feel like I should probably make sure that this doesn't bleed before I do such a thing. But yeah, this was exactly it. So I am thinking it won't happen this summer, but maybe for next summer I would make this again. I love it with the short sleeves, even though the original has 3/4, and turn it into a dress. Let's see if that happens. I'm going to put that on my sort of tentative plans for next summer. And yeah, so really, really enjoyable. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to say about it. No, just loved it. And it kind of flew off the needles because I really didn't want to work on anything else but this. So since then, I had my birthday in June, and thank you for all the lovely wishes. And I wanted to make the Smookie sweater out of here as a birthday cast on. Kind of a tradition that I started for myself last year. And it's this beautiful design by Kate Davies from this book Sark, although you can buy these patterns individually on her website, on the Kate Davies website. And I've had this book. I actually think it's one of her most beautiful books. There's practically nothing in here that I wouldn't want to make. They're just beautiful patterns. Even the slippers, there's a beautiful pair of slippers in here that I'd really like to make. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna make that as a birthday cast on. So I chose beautiful yarn for it. But I've had a couple of false starts. First I started and I realized the size was not the right size. There are only 3 sizes in this pattern. It's very easy to adjust. I do wish there were more sizes in it. I don't think that gives a lot of flexibility to people. But it is quite easy to modify because there are large stockinette stitch panels on the side, so you can easily like increase the number of stitches or decrease because the cable paneling in the front does not change at all. But it still, I think, would have been better to have maybe 2 or 3 or 4 more sizes. But so after I cast on the first time, I ripped it out because I realized it wasn't going to be tight, but it wasn't going to have quite the ease that I wanted. And I ended up having to sort of modify and create a size for myself between the first and the second size. And since then, I got myself going, and I'm using a stunning, stunning, stunning yarn. Honestly, I'm very disappointed because I'm going to have to change yarns. The stitch definition in this yarn is just not, let's see. Sorry, I don't know why it's not. Why is it not? There it is. It's just not great. It's just not very good. And you can't, it really, because it's 1x1 cables, I think you need a yarn that's a little bit rounder. And I chose a yarn that just doesn't really, it's not round enough. It's quite loosely plied. And I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking, this is beautiful yarn, I want to use it. It's going to be gorgeous. And it is absolutely gorgeous. This is Alley Cat Yarns. Alley Cat is Melissa's yarn. She's here in Ottawa. And I got this at Knit City, Montreal, this year. And I was volunteering with her, or working with her in her booth, and I wanted to cast this on right away. It's a fully Canadian yarn that is 90% BFL and 10% alpaca. And it's just got a beautiful luster. It's just stunning. And as I started getting into the cable pattern, I realized it's really like it doesn't pop with these 1x1 cables. I think if they were larger cables, it wouldn't be a problem. But I think you really need a yarn that's going to show the stitch definition quickly to be able to get the effect of the pattern in this sweater. So I'm committed to making this sweater, and I'm in the process of trying to figure out what I'm going to do. I'm trying to see if I can shop my stash. I'm trying to see if I need to buy yarn, and if I do, because I'm that committed to this sweater, then I will definitely be just buying Kate Davies yarn, and probably the colorway that she has in there is not a colorway. Well, it is a colorway, I guess, which is sort of the mid colorway, mid-range colorway she calls it. But yeah, this is so beautiful. I don't want to wait to cast on something else. But for now, this is a project on hold. Hopefully in the next week, I'll have a decision and I'll take it from there. So hopefully next time I podcast, it'll be back at least at that stage with a different yarn. Hey, editing Selma here. I forgot to mention that we've actually got a Smookie knit along happening in our Patreon group. It is for all members, free and paid. So if you're interested in casting on the Smookie with us, please feel free to join us over on Patreon. So the other work in progress that I have, I don't have a lot on my needles right now. I think it must be the summertime, and I get quite focused because summer's short and I want to be able to wear the items. So I just start working on them. Often summer knits are more simple knits also, I find. So they're very potato chippy and you just want to keep on going. So I find myself a little bit more a mono knitter during the summertime. I have cast on the cardigan that I've been wanting to make forever. This is the Voyage cardigan. Oh, I can't remember the designer's last name. It's something. I'll put it down here. This is a Voyage cardigan. I think it came out in 2017 about. This definitely fits the hidden gems for the podcast. We have a hidden gems knit along and crochet along for patterns that have fewer than 50 projects. So this could be, lesser known designers who tend to have less projects, or it could also be for better known designers, but this particular pattern just doesn't have many projects. it shouldn't be a brand new pattern. It should be a little bit older, so that you're not getting there when it's fresh off the press. And of course, there are only, you know, a few projects. So it should be a tiny bit older. I don't put a limit on that. I figure we'll use our judgment. So this is a cardigan that I really liked when I first saw it. And I just haven't actually gotten going. And then I thought, I've been wanting a white cardigan for so long. So I got myself some Sadness Garn Line in this white colorway, and I am working on the cardigan. It's a bottom-up cardigan, interesting construction. You start with a provisional cast on and you do a garter ridge. You do garter for the bottom, and then you pick up to go up. So I'm enjoying these constructions that are a little bit different than usual. And yeah, I'm really, so far it's easy peasy. I'm knitting on it when I have a moment, and I haven't worked on it quite as much. I was sort of trying to move forward with the Smookie to see how the pattern was going to come out. I should have just swatched with it, but I did not do that. But I'm going to start focusing on this now as I try to figure out which yarn to use for the Smookie. So that is the Voyage cardigan in Sadness Garn Lina, and those are my works that I'm working on right now. All right, so I wanted to share with you some of my summer favorites that are new this year. These are patterns that have come out in the last couple of months or so that I have favorited. So I went through my first page or two of favorites to see what I would want to share. Lots of beautiful patterns have come out this year, but I chose 12, and then I added one last night because the pattern just came out, I think yesterday or the day before. I had already made my list a week ago or so, and I thought I'm just going to add it on there. So there are 13 patterns that I'm going to share with you now. So let's go. The first one is the Fiorellino. The Fiorellino is a pattern by Isabel Kramer. It is made out of Mayak Fiordilino yarn, which is I think it's a merino yak linen base. I actually got some in a beautiful orangey color at Knit City Montreal. If you'll remember my acquisition section from a couple of episodes ago, I bought some of that specifically to make this pattern because it's so beautiful and I really love it. I haven't started it yet. It is on my short list, and I decided that depending on how much yarn I have after I've knit the body, I will possibly make it a little bit of a longer sleeve. We'll see how it works out. But this is a gorgeous pattern that has got just a beautiful yoke detail. It is in fingering weight. There are 9 sizes of this, and although it is originally made with this Fiordilino by Mayak, I think there could be a lot of lovely yarns. You could even use summer sort of more plant-based fibers like Tunline. You could use Knitting for Olive. You could use the Gepard Garn, her silk, I'm not quite sure how you pronounce that actually, or some sort of yarn that is a combination, but just a lovely design by Isabel Kramer. The next one is a pattern by Lene Holme Samso, also known as Le Knit or Le Knit. And this is the Vega tee. She came out with a few tees this spring. The other ones that I noticed were round yokes, but I liked this one because of the set-in sleeve look of it. I think this could be really beautiful, and both for the summer as well as for the winter. You could make this in wool, add a little bit of length to the sleeves as well. Just has a really nice construction. The original one is made in Sadness Garn Lina, which is what I'm using for my white cardigan. So it's more of a light worsted weight kind of pattern, and it comes in 10 sizes. So again, easy to substitute using double-stranded of the Pure Silk by Knitting for Olive, or Tunline as well, or something like Lang Lino, which is a yarn I like very much, that is a chainette linen, if you wanted to make it for the summer. And of course, the world's your oyster for the winter with any kind of lovely wintry fiber as well. So I really like that as just a lovely looking fitted tee that you could make to wear even to the workplace, for example. The next is actually two patterns. This is for the skirt, but there's also a top, and this is the 2 in the Afternoon by Yamagara. I fell in love with the patterning on the top and the skirt, and it is made out of Woolfolk straw, which I believe is a sort of a wool linen blend, if I remember correctly, kind of in the DK range. And I think you could do a gazillion things with this. And the skirt can be longer or shorter. There are a couple of different versions, and I just love the outfit. I just think it's absolutely fabulous. Did I tell you already that there are 10 sizes in this one? And yeah, I just really, really like it a lot. The next one is a pattern designed by Andrea Ruteman, who I featured in the Hidden Gems, I think in my first Hidden Gems segment. This is the banister tee and long sleeve, so he provides two versions. And this is just a really nice fitting raglan sweater for the male figure. Just really, really nice. It comes in 7 sizes, and it's a sport weight pattern. And again, I think it's something that you could do in more summery fibers, especially if it's short sleeve or long sleeve as a sort of a mid-season kind of, or in between season kind of a top, but you could also do it in a more woolly fiber in order to wear it in the winter. I really love Andreas's work. It's really beautiful. Number 6 is the newly released Space Tank by Heidi Kiermaier, who also designed this sweater. And this is just such a cool construction. It looks like a very simple tank, kind of raglan, but she's got different increasing happening in the front and I believe the back to sort of create almost a round yoke. So it's an interesting combination. This is made out of DK yarn. One could use Sadness Garnlina, for example, and it comes in 13 sizes. And now she has cited yarns such as Rowan Felted Tweed, Sonder, Sunday Morning DK. So those are more wintry fibers. But she also has the Juniper Moon Zoe yarn. You could easily use a Chainette linen. You could use Sadness Garnlina. And she has it in this bright lime color, which is really, really awesome. I think this could just be just a great sort of staple tank that would very easily cover the bra straps. And it's just great. With 13 sizes, I could say that is, I didn't actually check the range, but I would imagine that it is a good range. And Heidi's always a great designer. The number 6 is the Cabana Tee by Cheryl Mokhtari, also known as Coco Amour. This is a raglan tee that just has these really nice details in the arm and along the side. It's called the Cabana Tee, and it is made out of DK yarn. Again, lots of different options for this. Comes in 11 sizes, and it's just a nice fitting top, I find, and I love the detail. It wasn't laced. Did I say laced? It's a textured detail in the sleeve. The next one, number 7, is the Amy top. This is beautiful by Mochi Knits. It's a sleeveless top with this V-neck and collar detail that makes it incredibly classy. The way she's got it styled too is just so stunning. She has used something called Laguna Blanca, which is a DK yarn. It's a wool rayon linen blend. And so it's got about a 21 stitch gauge, comes in 7 sizes, and I just think it is so stunningly beautiful. You could almost actually wear it as well as a layering piece as a vest, just like with Heidi's tank that I just spoke to you about. You could easily make that in a woolier yarn and wear it as a vest. I think you could do something interesting like that with this one too, if you wanted to make it more sort of something that you could wear in the summer as well as in cooler seasons. Haituva number 8 is a beautiful classic design by Meiyu Kallio. This is a design that you are using fingering and mohair in the body, but then the sleeves are knit only in the mohair. It's beautifully constructed at the shoulders, and just also a lovely classic top that you could wear easily with a jacket, you know, with lovely pants, pencil skirt in any kind of way, jeans as well, depending on, you know, how you want to style it. And it's just really, really lovely. I love the mohair detail in it. And I like patterns like the Elton, where you're striping mohair and merino, for example, where the mohair is not just combined, but it's also a highlight. So I really like that. Number 9. Number 9 is the Ginginia. I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce that. It's a pattern by Thea Coleman. And usually she names her patterns after drinks, cocktails, or different alcohols. So this must be something. Perhaps it's a cocktail, a Brazilian cocktail. I need to look this up. So she has made this beautiful sort of textured, also collared top out of Retrosaria Vovo, which is a very beautiful and very woolly yarn. It's considered a sport weight yarn, but when I made a sweater out of it, I would say it's more like a real DK. She does use it with a 20 stitch gauge, and there are 7 sizes in this pattern. But I think it would be a beautiful pattern to use a more summery yarn for, because there's a little bit of an openness to it. There's a little bit of a laciness to it. And I just think it's really, really nice. Kind of, you know, it's sort of combining this idea of a little bit of mesh and the collared look, which is very, very much in right now. And that brings me to my next pattern. I am in love with this pattern by Anne Hansen, and have been fantasizing quite significantly about what yarn I could use to make this, what yarn from my stash I could use to make this. And this is the Ginny by Anne Hansen. It is using her own yarns, bare naked wools, in fingering with a 22 stitch gauge. Now her yarns are going to be a little bit of a plumper sort of woolen spun yarn, probably a little bit more loosely plied, depends on the base. So they're going to fill that space out. It comes in 10 sizes, and this is a bottom-up pattern. That's the one thing about Anne Hansen. I think you could easily convert this one. But I love the texture on it, and I love the subtle shift, between the accent color for the collar and the ribbing details and the body. I really like this a lot. And I have a lavender colored yarn. I thought, could I do it with that? There are so many beautiful patterns. It's a little bit overwhelming at times to decide which one am I going to make next. But I really love that one a lot, and have been really considering what to use to make with it. I think in one of her, I'll put it here if it's the case, in one of her shots, or it may be a pattern, a project, somebody's wearing a shirt under it. Is that possible? And I thought that was kind of an interesting look as well. So it could be kind of interesting as almost a piece that one would wear in cooler weather as well. Number 11 is the Lusk Tee that came out by Rebecca Clow. Rebecca's patterns are genius. They're always really well written, and they are also patterns that often have a DK version and a fingering version. So her Lusk tee, which I'm talking about now, has a DK version at a 17 stitch gauge, which is also almost a worsted weight, but it also has a 24 stitch gauge version so that it can be used with something like this. And it's got a lovely European construction on the back, which is a construction that I really want to try soon. I did make the Rivendell by Sari Nordland last year that had that, but I'd like to do it again. And it comes in 11 sizes, and I think it's just a versatile tee that you can stripe as she has it in her original picture, but you could also make it plain. You could stripe differently. You could do a little bit of texture on the front if you wanted instead. It's another sort of blank canvas that could lend itself to a lot of different iterations. Number 12 is the Sunday Swirl tank by Jessie May Designs. This is a tank that combines cables and lace, made out of DK yarn. I think she used the Undine, the Ritual Dyes Undine DK, and it's a 22 stitch gauge. There are 6 sizes, so from 28 bust to 62, which means that there is a large size difference between each one. But I just thought this was a lovely, lovely design and wanted to share it. And then last but least, the one that came out yesterday or the day before, very, very recently, and I thought I need to talk about this one because in watching Beth McDonald Stone's podcast, I really loved hearing her talk about this sweater, and I love the fit. This is her mango tee, and she basically made it to copy a t-shirt that she has, I think from Mango, the shop, that she just loved and wanted to replicate it. So this tee is an ode to that tee, and she has made it, she's got 2 versions, a solid version and a striped version, and it just looks like one of those just cozy, comfy tees that you want to put with all of your things, whether it's shorts, skirts, jeans, or other pants. It looks really fabulous. So congratulations on that, Beth. And yeah, it's a really lovely, lovely pattern. Now, I have to say, I forgot to write down any notes about it, but just know that there is a bundle down below, a link to it, and that pattern will be in the bundle, and you can click on it and go to Ravelry and see all the patterns that I've talked about today. All right, let's move on to our hidden gems section today. I have no idea what part is it. I think it might be part 7, perhaps. I don't know. I'll have to check on my last podcast where I had a hidden gem section. Today, I wanted to highlight the work of Olga Putano. Olga is actually a Ukrainian designer, but a Ukrainian person who lives in, I believe, the northeastern part of the US. And I really like her work a lot, and she does have some designs that have been very popular, but she has many designs that are not. And I usually choose the designer based on their first page of all their patterns. If there are about 3 or less that have more than 50 projects. So that means that the majority of their patterns on that page have less than 50 projects. And I believe she may have 4 patterns on that page, but I wanted to talk about her anyway because I really like her work. Her work is, I would say, primarily female focused. It is a lot of color work, and there is a mix. There's lots of lovely garments, but there are also hats and socks and other accessories for the neck and hands. So, but it is adult and female, I would say. She also has a book out called Only Yoking, which is all about yokes of all kinds, whether it's color work or textured. And let's look at 3 of her designs that I've chosen today. The first one is one that when it came out, I was like, okay, I generally can't imagine knitting an all over colorwork sweater. I just feel like it would feel like a chore. But there are a few designs that have come out that I've been really drawn to, and this one is definitely one of them. I favorited it the moment I saw it. It's called the Wonderful sweater. So rather than an O, it's an A, the Wonderful sweater, and it's all over color work. But not only are her colors so delicious, I think there may be about 20 projects. All of them look beautiful. People have chosen really lovely color combinations. So although it looks beautiful in this pastel, it also looked good in like more earthy colors that people have used, or more jewel toned. Just gorgeous. It is a 24 stitch gauge, although she has used a sport weight yarn with a mohair. No, sorry, that's not. Yes, it is true. Sorry. But the sport weight yarn is kind of an alpaca yarn. So I think with the alpaca and the mohair, it just has this texture that is just so visually inviting. I find it just looks like you want to reach over and touch it. Really, really gorgeous design. And it has 8 sizes in it. And I just think it would be a stunning, stunning sweater to have in one's wardrobe. The second pattern that I want to discuss by Olga is the distance scarf. There are 2 versions of this scarf. They're separate patterns. One is DK. I'm talking about the fingering version. This is quite a popular pattern, actually. This one has more than 50 projects. This is one of her popular ones. And there are 2 sizes. It is a sort of very simple cable design that just looks incredibly effective. And like something like the Sophie scarf, it is a small scarf that you can wrap twice. And I just think actually those are really useful things to have under a little jacket in the fall. Even in the winter, sometimes, you know, it's not that cold. We get cold, but it's not that cold and you don't want something big. I just find you just need a little something around the neck. I reach for my Sophie scarf and my party line scarf all the time. So I think this would be a lovely design as well. And then the last one that I wanted to highlight by her is one of her more simple designs. But as I was looking through her page, I just kept being drawn to that. Apologies for the motorcycle that was going by. And it's called the Toque sweater. And it is a very simple ribbed sweater, but it just has these little ribbing details at either end of the sweater that I just find it's just like, it just takes it to another level. It is also knit out of DK. It's just got a lovely look, a lovely relaxed look. There are 6 sizes, with 43 inches being the first size. So this is meant to be quite oversized. So you can decide how oversized you really, really want this to be. But I just really liked this one. She had so many more sort of ornate sweaters, lots of amazing color work, but I just kept being drawn to this one. So I was like, okay, we're going to talk about this one. And so those are the 3 patterns by Olga Putano that I wanted to highlight today. So there you go. That is our podcast for today. I don't have a podcast corner today, but I did want to mention that I have been listening to Trevor Noah's new podcast. So Trevor Noah is one of my favorite entertainers, I guess we could call him. I love listening to him. I loved listening to him when he was on The Daily Show. I've seen him perform twice. I've read his first book, Born a Crime, which was just such a great book and a great audio book. It's such a great audio book. We used to listen to it with the family even. The kids were laughing. It was just, he's such a great storyteller. But he has a podcast now called What Now? And he has conversations with different people, and they're conversations that meander And I have to say that normally that would not appeal to me, but because of the way Trevor Noah thinks, I find he's such an open-minded person. He's so curious. He wants to know why people think the way they think. And so it just leads to really interesting conversations. I listened to one recently where he was interviewing Chimamanda. Oh, now her last name, Chimamanda Adichie. Oh, suddenly her name. I'll put her down here. She's a great Nigerian author whose books I've read, and she has a new book out, and I got it on Audible because I always love her books. And it was just such a fabulous conversation. He had a great conversation with Jon Stewart as well. That was just really fun. So I've been listening to those when I'm on the treadmill. So I thought it's not knitting related, but I did want to mention that. I'm a little bit tired today because I went out to Blues Fest. We have a festival that's loosely blues music related these days, I would say. There's quite a variety, but I went to see Hozier last night and ended up coming home late and then waking up oddly early. And so I thought, let's see if I'm able to be articulate in the podcast today. Hopefully I have. It was lovely to see Hozier perform. I love his music. So it was a really, really wonderful, wonderful concert to see out in the open air. And we've had such great weather. Well, actually, to a certain extent, great. It's quite hot and muggy, but it's nice to be able to be outside in the evening and to see a concert like that. It was really, really great. I'm going to leave you with some nature walks that I've had recently, or that we've had, actually, I should say. And I'll leave you with some of that. And I'm going to be heading out to a friend's cottage. So I'm going to be vlogging from there for the Patreon. But I will share some footage with you next time from that. So take care until then, and happy knitting.